Small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs, are increasingly depending on cloud services for their essential day-to-day business. We're talking email, document storage, customer management, financial systems, the whole shebang. And it makes sense, right? Cloud computing offers some really incredible advantages. Lower costs, greater flexibility, massive scalability, and access to the kind of advanced technologies that help SMEs actually stay competitive.
But here's the catch. This growing reliance on the cloud also introduces a whole new set of risks. Now, larger organizations, they usually have dedicated, well-funded cybersecurity teams to manage these threats. SMEs, on the other hand, typically operate with a lot less protection. And because of that, they become highly attractive targets for cybercriminals who are just looking to exploit vulnerabilities in those cloud environments. So understanding these risks is absolutely crucial if you want to reap the benefits of cloud technologies while actually keeping your data and operations safe. Let's dive into the key cloud-related risks facing SMEs, why these challenges are so unique, and exactly how we can tackle them.
So, what makes SMEs so uniquely vulnerable? Well, it really comes down to a few key factors. First up, limited resources. Most SMEs either have tiny internal IT teams or they outsource completely, which makes monitoring threats and responding to incidents pretty tough. Then there's the high dependence on these cloud tools. For a lot of businesses, if the payment platform or customer database goes down, operations literally grind to a halt. On top of that, cybercriminals actually view SMEs as perfect stepping stones to infiltrate larger companies within a supply chain. Plus, there is a massive misunderstanding around the shared responsibility model. A lot of folks just assume the cloud provider handles all the security, but in reality, you, the customer, are still completely responsible for protecting your data, your user access, and your configurations. Add in a general lack of cybersecurity awareness among employees, which increases the risk of human error, and you've got a pretty challenging threat landscape. The good news is you can significantly reduce these risks by putting some practical, foundational security measures in place. First and foremost, you gotta have strong identity and access management. You really need to implement multi-factor authentication for every single cloud account, enforce strict password policies, and strictly apply the principle of least privilege. And by that I mean giving your employees only the access they absolutely need to do their specific jobs and nothing more. Next, we have to talk about the human risk factor, because human error is still one of the biggest vulnerabilities out there. Your employees are essentially your front line, so their awareness is critical. It's absolutely vital to run regular training sessions to help your team spot phishing attempts and build really solid, secure online habits. Doing short, frequent refresher trainings can go a long way in strengthening that awareness and stopping a simple mistake from turning into a very costly breach. Third, you need to maintain independent data backups completely outside of your cloud provider's environment. And don't just back them up, regularly test your data restoration processes to make sure they actually work. It's also super important to have a solid business continuity plan in place so you can minimize disruption if an outage happens. Finally, make it a habit to regularly review your cloud configurations. Tools like Microsoft Secure Score or AWS Security Hub are fantastic for this. They help you spot weaknesses right away so you can shut down unused services and lock down unnecessary file sharing permissions. Section 6. Cost-effective security solutions for SMEs. Now, there's a common misconception out there that advanced cybersecurity is just totally unaffordable for smaller businesses. It's true, SMEs don't have millions of dollars to drop on cyber defense, but by prioritizing smart practices and actually using built-in features, you can build a really solid security foundation on a limited budget. You don't always need to buy the most expensive tools. In fact, platforms like Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace already have highly effective built-in protections included at practically no extra cost. We're talking security dashboards, anti-phishing tools, suspicious login alerts, data loss prevention rules, malware scanning, the works. If you just take the time to properly configure these features, you can drastically lower your risk without spending an extra dime. Another absolute game changer is securing access. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA, requires a second verification step, like a code sent to your phone on top of your password. It literally blocks the vast majority of account takeover attempts, even if a password gets stolen. You really need to make MFA mandatory across the board, for employees, contractors, and especially administrators. Pair that with strong password management, like using a free or low-cost password manager to generate and store unique passwords, and you've got a highly effective, budget-friendly defense. Now, preventing misconfigurations is another huge piece of the puzzle. Believe it or not, a lot of devastating cloud breaches aren't caused by sophisticated hacking masterminds. They're caused by simple, preventable mistakes, like leaving an AWS S3 storage bucket set to public, or having file sharing permissions way too open. To prevent this, you should be doing regular access reviews, immediately disabling accounts that are no longer in use, restricting external sharing, and strictly following the step-by-step configuration guides provided by your cloud vendors.
Let's talk about data loss for a second. Whether it's a ransomware attack or just someone accidentally deleting a crucial folder, losing data can be absolutely fatal for an SME. This is where the 3-2-1 backup rule comes in, and it's a vital strategy. Here's how it works. You keep 3 copies of your data, stored on 2 different types of media, with one of those copies stored completely off-site or in the cloud. Sticking to this rule and actually testing those backups guarantees you can keep your business running when the unexpected inevitably strikes. Look, no SME can secure absolutely everything with equal intensity, so you have to prioritize. Adopting a risk-based approach means focusing your limited resources on your highest value assets, the things that really matter. That's your customer data, financial records, IP, and core communication systems. Put your strongest protections, like intense monitoring and robust backups, around those high-value areas, and use later measures for less critical stuff. Also, don't ignore external support. Government agencies, industry associations, and local chambers of commerce often offer fantastic, free, or subsidized cybersecurity toolkits, training programs, and threat alerts. Use them.
If you need more hands-on help, partnering with a managed security service provider, an MSSP, is a really smart move. Hiring a dedicated, full-time cybersecurity expert internally is often just way too expensive for an SME. But by outsourcing, an MSSP can handle professional log monitoring, threat detection, and incident response at a much more affordable and scalable price point. It takes a huge weight off your small internal IT team and guarantees that you have expert help standing by the second an incident occurs.
So to sum this up, resilience against cyber threats is not primarily a question of budget. It is a question of making smart, focused decisions. Smaller businesses might not have enterprise-level budgets, but you can absolutely build robust defenses by leveraging built-in protections, affordable tools, and smart outsourced services. No matter your size or your budget, strong security is completely achievable if you set the right priorities. Section 7. Building Security Awareness for SMEs. As we wrap up, we need to acknowledge that technology alone is simply not enough. Yes, firewalls, encryption, and monitoring are essential, but human behavior is just as critical in preventing cyber incidents. Security has to become a daily habit, not just a one-off checklist. Building a true security-first culture in an SME really comes down to 3 core pillars. First, leadership commitment. Management has to clearly show that security is a top priority for the whole company. Second, resource allocation. Even a modest investment in training proves to your team that you're taking this seriously. And third, employee recognition. When staff members catch and report a suspicious phishing email, acknowledge it. Actively praising that behavior reinforces a secure culture. Of course, your training programs need to be practical and laser-focused on the right areas. Make sure you're covering phishing awareness so people know how to spot sketchy links and attachments. Cover password hygiene, stressing why strong, unique passwords are a must. Go over cloud security basics, like how to share files safely and work remotely without opening up vulnerabilities. And finally, establish really clear incident reporting protocols. Your team needs to know exactly who to call and what to do at the moment they spot a potential issue. Now, how you deliver this training matters a lot. A massive 4-hour lecture once a year? That just doesn't work. Security training is way more effective when it's structured, continuous, and bite-sized. We highly recommend short 10 to 15-minute microlearning modules that are easy to digest and remember. Interactive workshops with simulated phishing emails or role-playing are also incredibly effective. And don't forget day 1 onboarding. Every new hire should get mandatory cybersecurity training on their very first day. Keeping this rhythm going with monthly modules and quarterly refreshers keeps security top of mind. But remember, formal training is just one piece of the puzzle. Continuous, everyday engagement is what makes it stick. Keep that two-way communication flowing with regular reminders, posters around the office, and occasional awareness surveys. You want an environment where employees feel 100% comfortable asking questions or reporting something weird. So, as you look at your own organization today, I want to leave you with this question. Are you relying entirely on your software to protect you? Or have you actively empowered your people to be your strongest, most resilient firewall?